Okay, cycle 2, weeks 1 through 6 for drawing. I splurged a little this year for a drawing curriculum because I had heard wonderful, wonderful things about this particular curriculum. And if you have seen it before, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I think you'll be really excited. But I figured we would give it a try this year and we'll see how we like it. And if we really like it, then maybe we can keep doing it in future years or alter it a little bit or just move on to something different. So, the curriculum is from a website called Ridgelight Ranch, and it is a lady named Julie. Let's see what this tells me. Julie Abels, and she is a CC mom, and she put together basically a whole entire package that encompasses everything that we would do for the first 6 weeks of drawing, and it correlates with CC. So this will be really, really great. I ordered enough licenses for all of us as tutors to have access to the whole entire curriculum. And I will be sending you guys an email with the links to the videos, the links to all these videos, and also the access for you to get these soft copies of this curriculum. I did not print the whole thing and spiral bind them for each of you, because it got a little bit too expensive. But I can tell you that if you really want one for yourself or for your class, it only costs, it would probably cost between $20 and $25 to get it printed and spiral bound with a cover. And really the only reason it costs that much is because of how many color copies there are in here. And the color copies really are color copies. And you'll see when I show this to you. So that's kind of the preface for what I'm going to say. Having said all of that, I have made a master copy like this, and it's all printed and it's ready to go. I think that we'll be able to do drawing in our own classrooms. I think I've got enough supplies that I've divided among everybody that you guys can just keep your kiddos in class or go outside, but you don't have to make the trek somewhere else if you don't choose to. So that makes it a little bit more necessary to have your own individual copy. CC has a pretty strict no electronics policy for in class and on community day, and I am generally 100% behind that. I will say, however, that in this case, if you would like to have a laptop or your iPad or something that has this downloaded and you can show the kids a soft copy of the pictures that we're going through, I think that would be fine. Just as long as it doesn't, turn into something where you're using an electronic device to teach from or to, whatever. We really, really want to keep this stick in the sand. This is just one of those cases where using the original that we have could be fairly pricey, and so I don't want to be frivolous with our supply money. So having said all of that, I'm about to show you what this looks like, and then I'll go through week 1. But basically what this lady has done is she has pulled together a 6-week drawing curriculum. And I'm going to just walk you through week 1. Basic good practice. This is something that was recommended in, I think it was in the list, like when I download a list of all the master supplies that I need for the school year. CC recommended on its fine arts that you play classical music while your kids are doing fine arts. Just have it turned down really low, but loud enough that they can at least hear it. And I thought that would be a fantastic idea. So if you don't subscribe to like a classical music channel on Amazon Music or Pandora or whatever you use, then just bring in your Classical Music for Dummies CD and pop that in and just let it play. Turn it down low so it's not like a distraction, but I thought that was a really, really great idea. So week 1 is basic lines, and shapes of trees. That's this particular lesson. So we're not going to veer away from our oils. We definitely want to still introduce the elements of shape. And she has in here, let me see. Sorry, I didn't prepare as well for starting this video. Besides the soft copies that I'm going to send to you guys, I've already made the copies that you will need for each week for your students to do the activity. So as you're going through this this particular week's lesson, she kind of gives you an introduction, and the introduction talks about how drawing is seeing. And so we really, really want to encourage the kids to spend more time looking at what they're going to draw before they actually start drawing. And this is hard. The hard part is slowing down and taking the time, because everybody wants to just jump right in and start drawing. And it's really, really important that you take the time to look at what it is that you're going to draw so that you can draw it well. She has what she calls a mini poster, and there's one of these. I printed it on cardstock. This actually has the 7 elements of art. So there's color, value, texture, space, forms, shape, and line. And we'll go into more of these a little bit more as we go through the whole year, not just this semester. We'll pick these up as we do great artists too. But shape, this is where our oils comes into play. So you might just show this, or you might like take a magnet and stick it on a board, or clip it on your, your foundations board or whatever you use, or you might just pop it in a page protector and pass it around and let the kids see it. But this is kind of what our focus is for today, is the shape. And we're going to go back to our foundations guide, and we're going to talk about the circles, the dots, the straight lines, the angled lines, the curved lines, and how those basic shapes can make up pretty much everything that we see. So the Drawing with Children book, if you don't have that one and you would like to look at it, it was kind of a recommended for a tutor, but I don't think it's not required. If you have it, there's some good information in there on the elements of shape. If you don't have it and you want to borrow mine, that's totally fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at what is included. I have printed off one of these for every pair of students. So here is a sheet that shows 5 different types of trees. And what you want the kids to do is just look. What do they see? And they can make observations to each other. They can describe the shape of the trees with as much detail as they can. Obviously, the older kids are going to have a lot bigger vocabulary to use to describe what they see than the younger kids, but try to help them bring it back to those basic elements of shape, the oils that we talk about. Think of a line as the path that is created when a point moves from one spot to another. And then when those spots connect, that's called a shape. Or when those lines connect with itself, that's called a shape. So once they've kind of looked at this and studied it, then they would be ready to draw it. Kind of a science tie-in to this is tree identification. So when you have the kids look at a tree, even if they don't know specifically what kind of tree it is, they may be able to lump it in to a particular type just because they know that a ponderosa pine looks like this, and the tree they're seeing looks a whole lot more like this than it does like this acacia tree down here. So help them begin to recognize that things that look alike, that may have similar qualities, can be identified very similarly. And then she says, when drawing a tree's overall shape, look for the lines and shapes that make up the overall shape. And so then she points you to the next handout that you'll have, one for each pair of your kiddos, which is the marker sketches of the trees. And so you can notice how each tree has been simplified in these marker sketches. And you can do a quick comparison. You can do a compare and contrast. Look at my ponderosa pine done in marker and look at it in real life. So you can just kind of see how this is a little bit more simplified than obviously what we have in reality. The palm tree is made up of a big circle Where's my palm tree? Here we go. The palm tree is kind of made up of a big circle on the top and a line, while the spruce tree is made up of a large triangle, and the acacia tree kind of has like a mushroom shape. So these are the things that you want to help your kids identify in week 1. Then once they begin to, once they've kind of studied the trees and begin to put shapes to what the different trees are, now we get to go into the actual drawing. There, she has broken it down into 4, I'm going to show you this, 4 levels. And I'll read these to you too, but we can look at them together. For the procedure, she says, do not pick up your pencil yet. Look at the overall shapes of the 5 trees in the photos and describe them and then compare them. So that's what we just talked about. You describe what you see and then you compare the actual picture of one tree to the pictures of another, and then compare the actual picture to the marker sketches. Then look at the step-by-step drawing instructions for each tree. And again, I have one for each pair of students. So this is how to draw a palm tree. And she has how to draw an oak tree and how to draw a spruce tree and an acacia tree. She has one for all of them. And what she wants you to have the kids look at is, can you see how just using basic shapes, now we are recreating what this tree looks like. Then what she wants you to have the kids do is pick up their pencil and begin following the instructions for each one of these trees. Now, the levels, she says level 1, so this would be the youngest kiddos, would sketch the palm and or the oak trees. These are the 2 easiest ones. Level 2 would be the spruce and the acacia trees. So this might be the 2nd class. It might not be the 3rd or 4th class. You might have kids in the oldest class that feel super uncomfortable with this and they want to start with the easiest one, and that is totally fine too. There are enough supplies for you guys to do whichever you think is best for your kiddos. But this would be level 2 spruce and acacia trees. And then she says for level 3, do the spruce, the acacia, and the ponderosa trees. So she's assuming that the older the kids get and the more adept they are at following the instructions and applying the shapes that are in their mind to what they're actually putting on a piece of paper, the more quickly they'll be able to get through those. And then level 4 says, don't look at the step-by-step drawing guides. Draw all 5 trees, looking only at the photos for reference. So obviously this would be a challenge, and this would be something that the older kids would do. And then she also has this really great encore. Try this at home. This would be something that you can email to your parents or put on the Shutterfly site for things that they can do at home. Just since we've had this book at home, my kids have exponentially increased the amount of time that they spend drawing. I don't know why. We have all kinds of how-to books, maybe just because it's new, but they have started drawing all of a sudden. And it's fantastic because they're actually trying to do a good job instead of just, drawing crazy town person who has clown hair or whatever. But the try this at home for week 1 are to repeat what they see. We cannot give them copies of this, but what we can do is teach them that this is how to make it work. So whatever it is that you're drawing, if it's your cat, if it's your neighbor, if it's your house, if it's your car, look at it, slow down, and spend some real time investigating what it is that you see, and then take that and apply shapes to it. Where do I see circles? Where do I see straight lines, dots, angled lines, that kind of thing? And then look at the shapes that make up the overall shape of what it is that they want to draw, and then fill in the smaller shapes that add in the detail. Another thing that they recommend is to get an identification book for trees, or get one either online or at the library, and look at the different overall shapes of trees, and then pick a different one that we didn't do in class and work on it at home. So that would be something that would be great that you can encourage them to do and bring as a presentation, or to use to illustrate a paper that they're doing for essentials, or to take a little bit deeper study and learn about that particular type of tree and why it is unique and what kind of places in the world it would thrive. So that is drawing week 1.